Huge win for Michigan, 59-18. They beat the Terrapins. Big game. Let's talk about it. Welcome to the Voice of College Football, the Michigan channel. I am one of your hosts for the Postgame show, Desmond. I've got my partner, Dre, with us as well. Please like and subscribe to the video. Give us a thumbs up while we're here. We'll be here for about an hour or so, kind of talking about the game. Obviously, next week has a monumental matchup for the Michigan Wolverines and the Buckeyes. But give us a thumbs up, share the video out on social media. We definitely appreciate it. And down in the description should be an area to let you know how to contribute to the main channel that Mark has, the Voice of College Football. So with that, Dre, how you doing? How you feeling?
Good. I'm not going to put up some kind of I can't fake, extreme enthusiasm for the result I'm expecting next week. However, within that, I do have an extreme appreciation for where we are. And Michigan and Harbaugh, they've handled their business. They handled their business today. A great game, both sides of the ball. We'll get into certain things that I didn't notice, things I liked, things I didn't like. Wasn't much I didn't like, of course, but just something I wanted to point out. And also we saw what Ohio State did to MSU. And that definitely plays a big factor in, how do I view the game next week and Michigan chances. So I would say I'm appreciative of where we are. I'm excited about the opportunity, but I'm not necessarily optimistic of the result. That I think that's the best way I can put it.
Yeah, you to me, Maryland was a bad team, which when we talked on the Wednesday stream, Mark talked about, like, they're not very good, and he definitely, I thought offensively they could pose some issues with the Michigan defense, but that absolutely was not the case, not even a little bit. But there is something to be said to come out and not just like beat a team that you're supposed to, but just to come out and dominate them, to the point where it's, 59 points, and it came in a variety of different ways. But to come out and just dominate a team like that, there's something to be said about it. Like, that's more than just winning by, 2 touchdowns, or I don't know what the spread was, like 10 or something like that, 10 to 14 points. You come out and just absolutely throttle them. There's something to be said about that. Now, definitely give them, give Michigan credit. Like we've talked about before, of just the energy and the focus that they have consistently come out with every game, and they did that, today as well. So, definitely give kudos when it's due, because you could, this was an easy game to look past with, literally the culmination of your season is happening a week from today. So this could have been an easy game to look past. It could have been an easy one to be sluggish, not be sharp, penalties, mistakes, things like that. Guys not focused, and they didn't do that. They came out and they were dialed in. They handled their business and threw in some wrinkles and things like that, and put up almost 60 points. So it's impressive. It's impressive.
Absolutely. And now look, there's no more matchups before. There's no more, ramp up games before. This is it. Both teams are what they are. And I will say, in terms of the quality of the game, I think both teams are playing their best football. Now, rather, Michigan's best football is good enough to keep up with Ohio State's best football. That's another conversation.
It
remains to be seen. But I do believe that, we're in for a really good, entertaining product, next week, because I think both teams are playing at their best. Both teams have an established quarterback. Both teams have an established identity. Now it's just a matter of seeing how they match up. There are definitely some strengths and weaknesses to both teams. And I think there are legitimate game plans that both teams can implement, and we need to execute to give them the best chance to win. Now, I do believe one team has a little bit more of a margin of error than the other, but you know, that's why you roll out there and you play the game. So it should be interesting to see how but as I told you this during the Wednesday show when we talked, off camera, and there was nothing that I was going to see in this Maryland game that would have changed too much of my prediction of the outcome or Michigan chances next week, because we knew of the quality opponent Maryland was. Now, vice versa, I gotta say, watching what Ohio State did to MSU today was definitely eye-opening, and it did move my confidence meter, because how could it not? As much as Michigan fans, we wanted to bash MSU, even though they beat us by 4 points and still we had a 60-point lead. With the refs, the calls, whatever. The point is that we lost, and it was a close game. And I think both teams are pretty similar in terms of talent. I'll give the nod to Michigan, but it's not by a lot, right? It's not by a ton. And to see what Ohio State did to them today, and they absolutely undressed them, and kicked them out the door. It was absolutely. And I had to call you, at halftime, because it's 49-0, and it's like a minute and 30 to go in the second quarter. I'm like, what is this? I couldn't.
Yeah, going in that at the halftime, it was 49-0.
Yes, at that same exact moment, Georgia, who's number one in the country, is up that exact same score versus Charleston Southern or something like that. Think about that. Ohio State's up 49-0 to the 7th ranked team in the country, the 6th ranked team in the CFP rankings. It was a beating of epic proportions. And wow, I don't know, man.
And I was trying to think of and I thought the LSU in 2019, the first round of the playoff game, I thought that score was close to that, like a 49-zip, or LSU might have dropped 55 by the halftime, but nonetheless, it was still, to beat a team that the rankings think that is a top 10 team, 49-0 by half is just pretty impressive to do that. And and like you had mentioned, even too, when you called me, you said, this is the perfect storm, because it is, Michigan State, with all the, their biggest flaw is their pass defense. Like, their secondary is not very good and hasn't performed well. And they've had, again and again, just passers after passer, just, have their season high against them. And Ohio State, that's one of the things that they do really, really well. I mean, offensively, they do basically everything well, but throwing the ball, they've got, 3 essentially NFL wide receivers. Absolutely. And in a couple of years, CJ Stroud is going to be an NFL quarterback. Like, regardless of what we think about him. Mm-hmm. So, like you said, it was a perfect storm, but I didn't think the storm was that perfect. Like, if you'd have told me Ohio State scored 49 in the game, I wouldn't be shocked by that. But to tell me that they did it in the first half, that would be pretty shocking. So that was interesting. That was eye-opening. I mean, for the most part, and that was the big marquee, noon game. So everybody was talking about it. It literally all the eyes were on that game. And by halftime, I would say most people had it turned off. Like, there's not really much. Dude,
people had it turned off by the first quarter. Wasn't it 28-0 going into the second quarter? I mean, it was
like 21 or something.
I just, I don't know. And then, and then Michigan goes on, and look, they handled their business, and there were definitely bright spots, Aiden Hutchinson.
There were a lot of bright spots.
Aiden being all over the place, DJ Turner getting at pick 6. The red zone efficiency was really good today. Donovan Edwards having his he's had a few good moments, but I think a really good coming out party as a true freshman, really showing himself being potentially impactful next week and going forward, and definitely in the future. So there's a lot to pull from this game in terms of positives going forward, but it's only natural for us to tie, everything from this game and the previous weeks until what this season is going to come down to, which is next week. And because I saw, I believe it was Marcus comment about let's stick to the Maryland game a little bit. And but believe me, we're not, poo-pooing the win today. It was a great win. It's just that now, you're at this opportunity where you are facing a Goliath, and I don't mean a Goliath in terms of Ohio State is that much better than Michigan, but I'm also taking it to context the historical, uh, the recent history of this rivalry, and what Ohio State has done to us. And when you look at the history and then the type of team they have, and you kind of combine that, you have a Goliath test for Michigan. And do they have the makeup to potentially conquer that Goliath? Sure. But it's going to be that. We're going to have to be damn near perfect and run our game plan to perfection, because one thing that was very evident today, and we said that during Wednesday's show when we was talking to Mark, there's no way this offense, they put up 59 points today against, they're not going to be able to keep up with Ohio State. Ohio State could have put up 75 points today if they wanted to. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. Like, if Ryan Day wanted to keep the starters in and run the same style offense he was in the first half, they could have put up 70 plus points. There was nothing, absolutely nothing MSU could do to stop them. Nothing. So that's going to be interesting. I think our corners are better than MSU's. I think our pass rush is better than MSU. But man,
Yes, I would be willing to give you all of those things. And well, because we talked about it, and we'll get into kind of the Ohio State game coming up, but
right.
You kind of talked about Donovan Edwards and just, I mean, he had, I think, 10 catches, 170 yards, and a touchdown with the 77-yard touchdown where he had some wiggle, showed some speed. Like, it's good to see him back and making plays the way that he was today, but that wasn't the only explosive play. I mean, they had a couple big, some big plays with, Sam still one-handed catch. You had Andrew Anthony one-handed catch. You had a pick six. You had a kickoff return for a touchdown with a kind of a little trick play there. Like, there was a lot of explosive plays, and this was the game. To me, this is the game to do those things. Mainly because that's just going to be something else that Ohio State is going to have to prepare for. And when it comes to preparation and gamesmanship, like that you want to do it all the week before, because in a 15-minute practice period that they're not practicing their just normal defense, they've got to practice for a kickoff return throwback, or they've got to practice for just something different, something unique. So I think this was the game to do it, and Michigan looked really good as far as the explosive plays that they had today.
Yeah, Sandestill, Edwards, Cornelius Johnson, he got a little better, but he got to stop those drops, man. He's had the droppies, all season. He's got to fix that, because we can't have Cade throwing dimes to your chest and you're dropping them, especially in a game like this. And that's what I'm saying. The margin of error for Michigan, and that's why it's good. A game like today is huge, because even though the quality opponent compared to Ohio State may be less, the confidence, the good feeling going into next week is what's mainly important, because Michigan should go into this game, regardless. Like, look, man, because if I'm a Michigan football player, I'm like, bro, we should have, for one, we're better than MSU. We should have beat them. You should feel like that. We should have won that game, right? Not, it's not an entitlement. I'm talking, you feel like we're the better team, right? So we don't care what happened, what they did to them. We can play. We just had a great game. We put up 59 points. Let's go, right? And I think they will. I think the focus, I don't worry about the focus going into the game, right? That's one thing we've talked about. The leadership of this team and the focus of this team has been exactly what it needs to be all season. I think they're going to go into this game with the right energy and mentality. It's just about the matchup, right? And whether they can exploit it or not. But to today as well, we can stick to explosive plays, but I definitely want to touch on maybe a potentially, missed opportunity today. And, I'll text you about this. we all know that Cade is the starting quarterback for this team. He's going to be starting next week. But, the backup is clearly J.J. McCarthy. You're in a win-take-all game. The game. Everything going online. Wouldn't it have been a good opportunity in the fourth quarter when you're up like 40 points to let JJ grip it and rip it and just let him have that entire fourth quarter? Now, I understand, hey, a lot of kids work hard on your program. There's a lot of kids get these Division I offers, these big programs like Michigan, and never see the field. They might see the field on special teams, right? But especially like a quarterback or something like that. You're if you're a third or fourth string, you probably will never see the field. Probably get your scholarship, get your degree that says University of Michigan, and then get your playing as a grad transfer in the MAC somewhere, right? That's typically how it works. And
that's like some of these guys, yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that, but that's typically how it works. And I understand as a coach, you want to look out for those kids in certain times like this because it's rare where you're up that much against a lesser opponent. But with what's on the line next week and JJ's limited passing reps, right? I just thought it would have been good to let JJ have that fourth quarter, at least 3 or 4 drives where it's just him and he's gripping it and ripping it. You want to put Allen Baldwin in and Villar. You want to stagger it in the last 4 minutes of the game. I'm fine with that. But at least majority of the fourth quarter, let JJ go because what if, and it has to happen all season, but what if somehow breakdown and pass blocking, maybe a missed assignment, and Cade takes a hit. And he's been banged up already in the big game against MSU, right? Apparently that's why he wasn't in when JJ fumbled the snap the second time, right? So what if JJ has to play and not just in a package? I'm talking about he has to step in. I thought I thought it would have been better preparation for the what if scenarios if they let JJ kind of rip it a little bit when they have that opportunity. But, I don't think it's in the world. That's just me. I mean, what do you think about it?
Well, I mean, we, even a lot of the folks who watch the show, have mentioned that a couple weeks ago. It was just like, oh yeah, we'll be fine. We'll get JJ plenty of snaps against Maryland and get him prepped before Ohio State. And I agree with you. I think it was a missed opportunity because, and to me, it's not as if that's a tough sell to Bowman and Villar. I've never even seen Villar. Maybe I'm mistaken, but this seems to be the first action I've seen him all season. But it would be a very easy sell if you're in the quarterback's room on Monday talking to the guys of just, number one, we're prepping for Ohio State. Like, we don't have time to be dealing with your ego of why you didn't get in or didn't get whatever, playing time. That's not what we're here for. Yeah. The goal is beating Ohio State. That's the goal. So Forget about that. But nonetheless, like JJ hasn't played since the Michigan State game? Like we talked about it.
Yeah, he didn't play against Penn State, right? That's right.
We didn't see him a single snap against Penn State. So it's like, yeah, we need to get him reps. And nonetheless, that's a natural progression of when you're in a blowout victory is you pull your starter and the number 2 plays a lot of reps. Like that's how it usually goes. JJ McCarthy is the number 2. So I agree with you. He should have been in really the entirety of the fourth quarter, and he should have gotten a lot of snaps. I don't know how many pass attempts he finished with. It looked like it was under 10, which that's fine. I mean, I more so want to get him the snaps, and yeah, the pass attempts hopefully come with it. But I agree. I thought that was a missed opportunity. That they definitely could have. There was just plenty of opportunity to have him in there. I mean, it's just a lot. Like you got and I'll check to see if the Villar kid got any pass attempts, but
he did.
I just thought it was
a few passes. But the point is that he's not. The point is that he's not going in if something happens to Cade next week, right? It's not going to be.
Villar is playing against Ohio State. Number one, it's either really, really good
or JJ really bad. Hey, JJ told you to,
there's no in between.
I'm out. No in between. Like that means JJ is not showing up. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, man. I just. And look, this scenario may not even come play itself out. I think Kate will be fine, but it's just you just never know. And I would have wanted, especially if it was a game in between now and then. I understand, fine, whatever you want to get the kids, some extra time. Bowman and Villar, some extra time. I understand, but I don't know, man. You just never know. You just never know, and anything can happen. We've seen Ohio State, have their starting quarterback get hurt in this rivalry. At the Big House, we've seen JT Barrett hurt his knee, and Dwayne Haskins steps in. I think as a redshirt freshman, and have to get it done for them. So you just never know in this game what can happen. And I think and I think from a bright spot, it was great to see what Donovan Edwards did today, because with the amount of work that Hassan Haskins has put in these last few weeks, who knows how his health will be. Not in terms of can he play. He will play. Excuse me, I just dropped my mic. He can play. He will play. But how effective? He will need a spell or two, right? And I believe Blake Corn will play. He dressed today. I think they kept him out as a precaution. But I think that's unless something happens during practice this week, he will be suiting up to play next week. But I'm sure he's not going to be 100%, right, of who he normally is. So it was great to see Donovan play today, because he probably will have to make some plays next week as well, or at least have opportunities in which he can make an impact. So, and that's why those reps are so important. And when you have a situation like this, so
and I think too, as a coach, it's part of your job, and especially when you're at a big time program like Michigan, like it is part of your job. And we've said it before, and earlier on in the season with our complaints of why we haven't thrown the ball more and more pass attempts, so on and so forth, but it's part of your job to, number one, see the game that you are playing today, your opponent, Maryland, but also seeing down the road, seeing the future, and understanding like, well, we got Ohio State next week. Like, and you're not saying that and expressing that to your players. That's more so a coach, in the coaching realm thing. But that's those things to me should have been talked about in meetings during the week, that, hey, if the scenario happens of, we do get up big, like, because that's the ideal scenario. We'd like to get JJ some snaps. Like, we'd like to have him throwing the ball. Like, we'd like to have to get him some reps if the opportunity comes up. And that opportunity came up, and they didn't take advantage, and whatever. Maybe there's a reason. And obviously we're not plugged into the program. We watch on TV just like everybody who's watching.
I'm seeing comments like, well, maybe he's going to be needed next week. Okay, just like Penn State. Let me be honest. Let me keep it real with y'all. We shouldn't see J.J. McCarthy on the field next week. Okay, just like Penn State, he shouldn't touch the field. This should be Kate's game. I gotta stop shaking my screen. Okay, like no. We're not doing that again. Okay, and it has nothing against JJ. This is winning time. This is
big boy time.
So not get no more cuteness. No. Let's not do that. And we've seen this. We've seen historically Harbaugh can get cute sometimes with Ohio State. You remember, what was it, 2018 or 17? No, maybe it was 19. So it is 17 or 19. Either way, it was at the Big House. Michigan goes up, goes up 7-0, scores again, right? And instead of they go off for the PAT, but they do like that weird formation.
They did the swinging gate for it. Yeah, it was
swinging
weird.
Gate. I'm like,
which they've never done before.
Never done before. I'm like, what are you doing? And then the guy misses the PAT. It's like, why are you getting cute? It's like, and then you nailed 13-0. And I remember me and you were talking about it. It's like, bro, like that all matters. So now you just feel different. It's just like
weird, right?
It's just like,
yeah.
Why?
You don't love that. You don't.
No. It's just like, man, like don't get cute. Like just please, just who we are. I'm not saying don't add wrinkles, because you will need to have some trick plays, but have trick plays with your established personnel, not throwing in these special packages and doing stuff like please.
Yeah.
I can't. I swear for God, we have a really good drive, and we get into the red zone, and I see JJ trotting out there. I'm going to lose my mind. Okay, like I said, and it's nothing against JJ. It's not the time for that. It's not the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I'm not. I think, to me, it's gonna be. I just be really hard pressed to find a scenario and a situation that you need to have JJ in the game outside of obviously an injury. Because even for people like even what game was that? Was that Michigan State when JJ threw the touchdown pass to I think it was Andrew Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Michigan State. Like, people were like, oh my gosh, he had a great throw in the red zone, and maybe there's a red zone package for him. And I'm like, I just don't think that I don't think JJ has the ability to make that throw, and that Cade does not. I'm like, I think Cade can make that throw as well.
Yeah.
Like I just don't like. I get it. He does add an element of a little bit more athleticism when it comes to the quarterback position, but at the same time, he does add athleticism there. He's not Lamar Jackson, like in RG3 at Baylor.
Not even JT Barrett, like an effective,
like
a power runner as a quarterback. Like he has some wiggle to him, but it's just
I'll give him all the credit in the world.
Yeah, right. But it's just, I just, and we all know what this is. We know that JJ plays not because of some kind of additional wrinkle. He plays so you can play to his ego and keep the kid happy and his family happy, so he doesn't leave. Can't prove that, hasn't been spoken.
What I would imagine as a coach is that a kid is going to be happier not playing, beating Ohio State, going to the Big Ten championship, and having the potential of playing in that game or a playoff game versus, he got some snaps in the Ohio State game, but he made two huge mistakes and we lost the game, and now idiots are on his Twitter timeline tweeting at him stupid stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Who doesn't want to win? Like, I feel like, yes, JJ seems to be just all in on Michigan, but the most important thing is winning the football game. That is all that matters, is winning the game. So I would think a kid would prefer the situation A versus situation B.
Right, but especially what's on the line. I mean, they should understand. Now look, the situation let's say Michigan had like 3 or 4 games this year, like today, where they're killing teams, and like a kid like JJ is not seeing the field. Okay, then you may have a gripe, especially if you've been performing in practice. But no.
Dude,
I mean,
he's been in close games. Like, how many backup quarterbacks have been in close games? Like, it's like, I mean, we're one possession. JJ, get in there. Like, I haven't seen that happen with Ohio State or Michigan State. Like, I've basically seen Peyton Thorne taking every snap for them. Mm-hmm. So it's like, you already are way ahead of the curve when it comes to backup quarterback snaps and reps and situations. Yeah. You've been in plenty.
Yeah. But I think we both can agree. I mean, if something happened to K, JJ's not necessarily ready to step in, and which, granted, what true freshman is maybe a unicorn like Trevor Lawrence, but that doesn't happen, like, more times than not. So that's why he gets a little But look, man, they are who they are, and no, I don't think it's zero chance Michigan can win next week. There's a formula, and I think one thing is very clear when we said it on the Wednesday show: you can't go score for score with this team. You can't do it.
You shouldn't want to try even.
You don't want to. You don't want to try either. You don't want to be like, oh, okay, y'all want to go up the field? Let's go. Michigan must control the TOP. You have to. You cannot go 3 and out. You cannot have self-inflicted mistakes, fumbles, holding, false starts. You have to be
drop passes.
My goodness, on key third downs.
You just can't have them.
You have to have sustained, efficient scoring drives.
Offensively, it has to be. Everybody's got to be on their A game.
Yes,
coach included. Yes. Like Josh Gaddis, you can't. I I think about just a situation with the Maryland game of that fourth down play when Cade ended up throwing it into to me it looked like it was a fourth down play that they drew it up of, hey, this guy's going to be open. Well, that guy wasn't open. Threw it in traffic, and then I think Henning or Sanders still ended up catching it, but it was short of the sticks. So it's like a completion, but you didn't get enough. Stuff like that that stuff can't happen. It can't happen next Saturday. Everybody's got to be on their A game. And Josh Gaddis is included.
The game has to be, as crazy as it sounds, given their offensive output today, the game has to be in the high 20s, low 30s for Michigan to have a chance. We can't be getting into the 40s
And the interesting part is even of the final against Maryland, 59-18, it's like, holy cow, the offense had a great day. The offense did have a really good day, but all of those points weren't scored by the offense.
No.
You know what I mean? You had, a special teams touchdown. You had a pick six. It wasn't just, we lined up and drove the field for, up and down the field for 60 points. That wasn't the case.
The offense isn't built to be like that. They're not. Their style isn't getting up the field in explosive plays like that. It's not like that. So they're going to have to placate to their style and be very, very efficient and effective with their style. We can't Haskins can't have a lot of plays in which he's getting stonewalled at the line of scrimmage. Right, he has to be effective getting that 3.2, 3.5 yards a carry, right? Get K in those opportunities when he's 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2, right? When it's quick, easy, efficient passes, moving the ball down the field, and more importantly, when you get in the red zone, you have to convert and score touchdowns. That's why I said sustained, efficient, scoring drives. And scoring would be more,
touchdown drives.
To the point. Touchdown drives.
Right. Because field goal is not going to cut it.
And it's just, it is what it is. Because even though I don't believe that Ohio State would absolutely go up and down the field like butter, like they did today, they will score. I mean, they have 3 NFL receivers and an outstanding play caller in Ryan Day, a really good running back in Trevion Henderson, and a good quarterback in CJ. They're going to score. They're going to get yardage. The key is, and I think what Michigan, what Mike McDonald will do, and they should do, is they probably have to employ 2 deep safeties, right? And just avoid the big play as much as possible. That's what I would do.
Because your front 4 is better than Michigan State's front 4.
Absolutely.
So you can hold up against the run, you know what I mean, a little better.
Yeah.
Versus a Michigan State team who probably needs that extra guy in the box to try to stop the Ohio State run.
Absolutely.
I think your D line is going to be key in the game and what that looks like. But yes, I agree. You've got to be cognizant of the deep ball and the big plays. You got to make sure to be on top of it. Keelan Sandifer, thank you so much for the super chat. I'm getting caught up now. I was a little behind, but Keelan says, get to Stroud and we beat Ohio. What are your thoughts on that, Dre?
Get to Stroud and we have an extremely good chance to beat Ohio. I don't think it's
not a guarantee.
No. But because here's the thing. You're going to have to. And we have the ability to. We talked about this last week. The one thing that Michigan has was not the only thing, but one of the main, which is huge impact that Michigan has, MSU doesn't have, nor does any team really that Ohio State has faced this season, is 2 legitimate first-round draft picks on their defensive line, and Ajabo and Hutchinson. And what's going to be key for them to really employ that advantage is they have to limit the chunk plays and have opportunities where they can get Ohio State in obvious passing downs. When it's not 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4, can they get Ohio State into 3rd and 8s, 3rd and 7s, right? Where it may take an extra. It's not just a quick boom, out pass for CJ, where he has to go through a progression or maybe 2, right? Just so Aiden and Ajabo have a chance to get off the line of scrimmage and get back there. Because if they can, CJ has shown that he can make a mistake. He can make a mistake. So, and that's what's going to have to take. It'll be unrealistic to expect DJ Turner and Gray and Daxton Hill, especially as talented as those young guys are, to keep up with the receiving core for Ohio State for a certain amount of time in a play. One of those guys are going to get open. Right. They're going to get open. So it's your
hope is that things work together, right? So that you hope your back end covers long enough to let the front four, get to the quarterback, and maybe you don't sack them 10 times, but you put some pressure on him to where, maybe there is a guy who's wide open, down the field, but he's trying to run away from pressure, so can't find him. That it happens all the time, but you got to make sure it happens quite a bit, and especially on those big, passing third downs. So yeah, Mark Smith says there's no way they can keep up with OSU scoring. I agree with that. I look at it, and for people who may or may not be watch NFL, that San Francisco and the LA Rams game that was, I think, last Monday, to where San Francisco just ran the ball right down their throats and had controlled the time of possession, limited the Rams' offensive possessions, and ended up blowing them out because they just couldn't get the ball. And by the time they did, it was just like, man, you look up, we're down 14-0, and we've got one drive left in the first half. Like, what can we do with that? Like, at most we're going to get 7, but we're still going to be down. And when that just continues to snowball of we can't stop the run, they're just consistently running the ball. Like, that's, to me, that's the formula. And maybe it's not going to be that extreme and look exactly that way, but that's probably the path to winning the game for Michigan. It's easier said than done for sure, but
I was reading.
Ohio State has a legitimate case that they are the number 1 team in the country, like after what they did today. Because to me, when you look, like there hasn't been a win that impressive versus that quality of an opponent all season. Like, Georgia hasn't even had a win like that against that quality of an opponent. So it was impressive. So controlling the ball, running the ball, Hassan Haskins will be big. It was good to see Donovan Edwards back today, healthy, running well, had some wiggle. And you'd like to think that the extra time of Blake not having to play today, I think he went through warm-up. So just going through warm-ups and then, the more time off is only going to be a benefit as far as getting him back healthy again. But you're going to need all those running backs and mainly Haskins, because that he packs a punch, and he's been playing really well last couple of weeks.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is that, what happens if Michigan does get punched in the mouth a little bit. And I'm not worried about the psyche of this team, because I think they have demonstrated better than any other team I've seen, Michigan team I've seen the last couple of years, that they can have the mental toughness, right, to deal with adversity. But from a strategy standpoint, we probably won't be able to run the ball like we want to a lot. Very similar to what happened to MSU. Like, people, and look, it's a decent criticism to say that MSU went away from Walker earlier today, but the problem is they got down so quick. It all happened. So it was like bam, 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 bam. Before you know it, they were down 28-0. And it's like, we really can't.
Yeah, you just my thing is when, especially when it's rolling like that, like as far as the other offense, like you've got to stick to the run. Like you have to, because if you can't ever get that established, like Michigan, especially for Michigan State, like that's not their strength, throwing the ball like that. You know what I mean? So you're taking, versus your run game, your pass game, like you're taking the one that you're the least strong in, and you're trying to beat a team that way. And that's just not how you're going to win the game. And you think about the Michigan game, like that's how they got back into the Michigan, game was running the ball. Like, so granted, I think today was the worst possible day that Michigan State could have played Ohio State.
Oh, absolutely.
I think their best bet was going to be to give the ball to Walker. I mean, at the time that we were texting, I mean, he had 3 carries for 24 yards. I'm like,
yeah,
that's 8 yards a carry. Even with I think his first 2 carries went for like 1 yard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you got to keep you just can't abandon the run game like that when you're a running team. And I would tell Michigan the same thing. Like I don't care what the first quarter score is. You absolutely cannot abandon the run in the first quarter.
No,
it just can't happen.
Yeah, you can't be against your uncharacter. You can't go against your character and your style, right? You have to,
Right.
you have to stick somewhat to what you do within reason, given what's going on in the game. And look, even the things we're saying, like I said, there's a chance Michigan can get this done next week. It's just like it's going to be very difficult to do because of the margin of error, right? Like it's hard to not have, so especially in an emotional game, to not make mistakes, right? You get out there, offensive lineman, you're ready to do that first hit, you're going to run the football and you get a little jumpy, false start, right? Now it's 1st and 15, right? Like it doesn't take much to make mistakes, right? And the point is that Michigan just can't afford as many mistakes as Ohio State can. Now, just because we're giving Ohio State, I want people to really listen. Just because we're giving Ohio State this bigger margin of error and this credit, it's not saying Ohio State doesn't have its own weaknesses. They do.
Correct.
Their defense isn't stout. You can move the ball on their defense, absolutely. And Michigan will put up points against this Ohio State defense. The problem will be once you get into a situation when the offensive side of the ball for Ohio State puts your offense in an uncharacteristic situation, right? Because you're trying to keep up with them, and all of a sudden everything gets out of whack, right? Because now your offense is ineffective, then that affects your defense. Now your defense is back on the field because your offense is going 3-and-out, or your offense makes turnover, and then it starts to snowball, right? Then all of a sudden they're breaking out. And this is in their Ohio State's A game. I'm trying to paint that kind of scenario. That's how you get down very quickly versus them. And it can happen, in a blink of an eye if you're not careful. So,
one caveat I will say, and sorry to any Michigan State fans in the chat, but Michigan State, their players look like they were scared, like, and not in like a fearful way. But in a way that, like, they just weren't executing with the same confidence that I've seen them play with before. Like they just didn't look that way. They looked like we're kind of on pins and needles. Like, we know if we make mistakes, like, it's going to be bad. That's how I saw it. Like they did not look confident. That was not the Michigan State team that I saw play Michigan. They looked like they were scared. And if Michigan has that type of attitude next week, then we can pack this up now. But I don't think they will. But that just, to me, it didn't look like, the Michigan State that was, talking about a fight and counter punches, all that stuff. That looked like that it didn't look good. Yeah,
I think they were when it was 14-0 and they were driving. I think this is what broke them. They get down early 14-0. And then they start to drive actually pretty well on Ohio State. Kiddo Walker's having a few good runs. He's starting to get into the groove, as he always does. Jalen Reed's getting a few catches. Jalen Reed gets a pass from Peyton Thorne, a play they do all the time. I never know why a corner never reacts quick enough, but they do that back shoulder. Peyton Thorne throws the ball perfectly to Jalen Reed's back shoulder, and Jalen Reed, because they have this connection, knows to turn just at the right angle to catch it. He catches the ball. I think it's 3rd down. They're driving down the field. He catches the ball. Matter of fact, that's a different play. It was a curl route. He catches the ball and instinctively trying to make a play, right? Tries to reach. And I actually thought it was a fumble. MSU actually dodged a bullet. But he tries to reach to get the first down, and they thought it should have been fumbled. They ruled an incomplete pass. Either way, it was 4 for 10. Their kicker, Conklin, is hurt, but he still played today, but it's not quite right. He misses the field goal, and I thought that play, because I thought if MSU scores there, 7-14, maybe you see a little bit more of a fight. But I thought once that happened and then Ohio State got the ball, they get down, score 21-zip, that was what broke them. That was it. What Ohio State did in that moment was what Michigan couldn't do effectively when we played them. Well, and I think part of it was MSU was at home, so I think it's easier to keep the fight where you're at home in your own barn as opposed to being away. And two, that final nail in the coffin, that stepping on the neck, Ohio State did that effectively. And the Spartans were demoralized once the first quarter ended. They were demoralized. Because they knew defensively, because Ohio State can do this that what Michigan can't do. Like defensively, we have no answer. We cannot stop them. We can't stop them. With Michigan, what MSU was able to do is, well, we know that they're not going, like, even though our corners is our secondary is our weakness, Michigan's not going to beat us explosively with the pass, right? Not like that. And I think that was so demoralizing to them, because it wasn't just like it was like death by 1,000 cuts. No, they were just chunking them to death, and there was just nothing they can do. Trust Michigan, we know that. We experienced that in 18 when we got the 60 burger put on us. I felt their pain. Not to that extent. It wasn't 49-0 at halftime, but I understood the feeling of hopelessness. Like, it's a terrible feeling. And yeah, man. I mean, it won't happen next week unless it gets out of hand. But we'll see.
For sure. I want to take a quick note to just ask everyone to give us a thumbs up on this video. We've got about 215 people on the line right now, so we would definitely appreciate if you guys would all just give us a quick thumbs up. If you just exit the video, thumbs up, come right back. Everything will be.
There's a question. Dez, I gotta bring this. Can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you click on this comment by Havern Shred? Like, I know I fall for the fake. I fall for the bait every time, but
You do.
Can I just read this? Because I love when people do this, and I get to, because I want to have conversations with people like this, because I just don't understand how they're hearing what we're saying, right?
Okay.
I just don't understand sometimes. I feel like these guys aren't Michigan fans. It seems like they trash Michigan more than anything. What is trashing Michigan? Like, pointing out this team's strengths and weaknesses is not trashing them. As like we have said before, and I have said this, I've stopped the last couple of weeks as a disclaimer before every show. But I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah. You sound doing that, but
the way we judge this team on a week-by-week basis is with the expectation they are working towards winning a Big Ten title under year 7 under Jim Harbaugh, because that should be the goal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So when we are giving our analysis of thoughts on this team, it's based on what are the things they're doing well and the things they're not doing well enough to reach that goal. It's not,
at the end of the day, I mean, the season is culminating to one game, and it's the game. So, I mean, Havern, if you watched the noon game that we watched, Ohio State looks like they are rolling right now. Offensively, defensively, they played pretty well. Special teams, like, they look like they were. I mean, Dre, would you dare to say flawless today? Like in their performance? Yeah, Ohio State, flawless. So, okay. So, Havern, what I would say is, what does a flawless Michigan game look like? Because I don't think they look like, beating the number 7 team 49-0 at halftime. So the idea is, well, what does that Michigan win need to look like? And I think we both agree, Dre, that it needs to look like controlling time of possession, running the ball well, like doing the things that Michigan wants to do on a consistent basis. They want to run the ball like that. So the time of we're going to all of a sudden come in and Cade's going to throw for 450 and 5 touchdowns like that, the time is gone for that. Like we had opportunity for that early on the season. That's gone. The only way that this is going to go the Wolverines' way next Saturday is running the ball effectively, and Cade doing what Cade has done all season, which is protect the football, be very efficient in his decision making, and he's going through his reads and his progressions. That is what the win is going to look like. It's going to be the defense playing a hell of a football game. That's what it's going to look like.
Absolutely.
And it's not going to look any other way. It's not going to look any other way.
Yeah. It's just, I think another thing too is, if you watch enough college football, not just Michigan, but it's across the country, after a while you get to understand what is a good team, what are solid teams, what are good teams, what are great teams, what are exceptional once every 4-year type teams, right? By the way, I don't think we have any kind of team like that this year in terms of an exceptional team. Every team, even the better teams in around the country, all have flaws, right? And all can be beat with the right formula, right? No, there's no perfect team. There's no LSU of 2019. Okay, like that's just not this year.
Even Georgia, and I don't know if we talked about it on the stream, but Georgia's not flawless. Defensively, they might be flawless, but with Stetson Bennett as your starting quarterback, you're not winning much of anything. And we saw that last year. Stetson Bennett couldn't beat the elite of the elite teams. And when it gets to, the playoff and conference championships, that's who you're playing. You're playing the teams that are playing the best. So even Georgia, that in all of their dominance in the games that they've played, they're not flawless. So to make it seem as if there's any team that would be silly. So in that token, anyone's beatable. Anybody is beatable.
Yeah. Yes. And it's about trying to paint a scenario based on your perception of a team, of what puts them in the best possible situation to win. And I think if you go into these games, guys, if you go into these games, you're like, well, look, a win is a win. I don't really care about how it looks. Then I think you're setting yourself up with potential letdowns because you don't really know what your team is, right? You're just getting caught up in the fluff, the wins, and that's fine. You could be whatever kind of fan you want. There's no good or bad way to go about it. However, be happy. I'm just saying, but when you watch us on here, which we greatly appreciate, we want you guys to come back next year and follow us through the off season. Understand that we're coming from a place of trying to figure out how we can win everything, right? It's not just about let's do a hype show of highlights and talk about how great Michigan is. That's not what this is about. It's about how can we do things we haven't done before, right? Guys, I can't tell you enough. This is a rare opportunity. Dez, you know this. You said this too. This is a rare window for Michigan to get this done. But guess what? Regression is coming. I'm not saying Michigan's going to be bad next year, but think about it, guys. Think about all we're losing, after this year.
Dax Hill, Aiden Hutchinson, Ajabo, Josh Ross.
Our biggest playmakers on defense, go-to guys, right? That we know of, that we can depend on week to week. Those guys are gone, right? Either by graduation but most of them are all going to, well, maybe not Josh Ross, we'll see about him. But, all those guys, most guys going to get drafted high in the NFL draft, right? Offensively, we're losing Haskins. He might come back for, I think, a 6th year. He may have that he may take advantage of that eligibility option. But
think about it this way, Dre. Is his stock going to be any higher than it is now?
Probably not. No.
You know what I mean? If he wants to play in the NFL, and I don't know.
As a running back, no. And especially the way he runs the ball, like he has a limited window anyway. So he needs to.
It's not going to be any. His stock's not going to be any higher than it is right now. So if his goal is playing the NFL, I mean, I guess he can't hire an agent, but I would assume the feedback he's going to get is you're probably a 1st or 2nd round, draft pick, I would think. I mean,
yeah.
So that's the thing. Why? And if he does get that grade of a 1 or a 2, why would you come back to have another season of wear and tear on your body when you could go to the draft and get that in the NFL? You know what I mean? Like
And get some money, that you can start your life with, and how about this, Trill City? Regression, you know how I know regression is coming? Because it's common freaking sense. You lose 4 or 5 of your biggest playmakers on defense, you're going to regress. Now, will they last all next season? I don't know. No one knows that. Why? Because we have to see who else steps up. But it's logical common sense that your biggest playmakers leaving your team is going to have a big impact.
Well, especially when you're talking about when you talk about
NFL
talent, like you have NFL guys who are leaving your team and going to the NFL. You're not going. You just don't plug and play guys like that. Trust me. Like Dax Hill. Is there another 5-star safety that we have that I was unaware of? Do we have another, 2 other NFL pass rushers to replace? Like,
it doesn't mean they're ready to play. We can't so just because Michigan recruits well, just like, well, hey, we just lose guys, we plug guys in. It's like, I'm sorry, like one of the biggest hang-ups that I think that Harbaugh has had, right, is not recruiting. He's always recruited very well.
Very well. Since the day he stepped on campus.
Well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Recruiting's not the issue. Player development has been questionable at times. Mm-hmm. Not for everyone. So don't throw examples like Devin Bush and et cetera. No. I'm not saying everyone. But I think compared to our peers, right, who recruit similar to us at times, no, we can do better. Right. So you can't just be like, okay, well, we're losing a lot, but look at our recruiting rankings, we should be fine. We don't know that. Eventually we might be fine, right? But there is a adjustment period where guys who aren't playing a lot have to cut their teeth. Sam, great point, the transfer portal, right? But you got to get those guys, right? I'm not saying that it can't be done. And when I say regression, I'm not even saying that Michigan can't be good next year, but they're going to regress initially. And it's the unknown. So, but what we do know now is that there's a legitimate opportunity. That's why we're saying
window is open. You gotta take.
You don't know what's going to happen next year,
right?
But you definitely have signs that it could be a little tougher next year. That's what I'm trying to say.
And this was when we talked about it. This was my take on it of what next year. If I'm Jim Harbaugh, the thing I'm looking at is yes, I'm losing those guys on defense, like we talked about, but offensively, I should be better. I mean, I don't know, with the Ronnie Bell situation, if there's potentially a 6-year there. I have no idea. Haven't looked into it, but you got Cornelius Johnson coming back. You got, JJ is presumably going to be the starting quarterback, or Cade, whatever. I've got a talented starting quarterback. I've got, Blake Corum, Donovan Edwards. Like, I have guys who are Andrell Anthony. Like, you've got the makings of a really good offense, and that's probably the thought process of the future, at least of 2022, is that, okay, defensively we may not be as good as we were in 2021. Maybe we take a step back, but offensively, instead of scoring 30 to 35 points, maybe we're 40 to 45 points, and that ends up putting us still in a spot to where, at the end of the season, we're playing Ohio State for the Big Ten division and, for the East Division and a trip to Indianapolis, which is the goal. So I really don't care what it looks like. I don't care if our punter is the team MVP and we beat teams 3-0. The only thing that matters is getting to where we want to be. And that's beating Ohio State, beating our rivals, and representing the Big Ten East in Indianapolis. So I'm with Blank Name. I think this is probably the thought process, but
absolutely,
like you said, it just, to me, I look at college football and the way that it works. Most years there's a team that we look at that we're just like, yeah, it's probably that team. 2019 LSU, once they got past Alabama, it was just like, oh yeah, no, these guys are for real. And at that point, it was just like, all right, well, who else is just going to make up the field to get beat by LSU because they're that good? 2018, Clemson, same thing. So But this year, I truly don't feel that way, because even as dominant as, like I said, Georgia has looked, they're still flawed offensively. So the thing is at the end of the day, you look at it, the field is wide open I'm looking forward a little bit, but to win a national championship. So if Michigan can just take advantage of this week, like, granted, I get it, it's a tall task. You got to beat the number 2 or 3 ranked team, number 4 ranked team, most likely in the CFP. But it's at home. You know, you've got a quarterback who has a lot of experience. Like, this is not, the Brandon Peters, has to play in the game, even though he's only been playing
John
for
O'Corn,
5 or 6 games.
like
it's none of that. Like, literally everything is lining up the best it can in your favor, right? Like, you don't get to control what happens on the Ohio State side. No. As far as everything is lining up your way. Like, you've got Blake Corum, who's a little banged up, but it looks, all signs point to he's going to play next week. Like, you've got the quarterback, you've got the bell cow running back that you can lean on. Donovan Edwards is back healthy at the perfect time. Like, you know what I mean? Things are lining up the way that you would like them to. So you've got to take advantage, because if it doesn't happen this year, when will it? Because you're next year, CJ Stroud's going to be a returning starting quarterback with what, at that point, he's probably got 10 or 12 starts now, so double that. So he's going to have 24 starts, next year at this time. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, so this is the window. Like, this is the window to take advantage.
Think about it. Think about this, right? Think about this. I would say the best opportunities, the best Michigan teams was 16, 18, and I would say this year, right? In terms of legit opportunities, right? When this game meant a lot, high stakes, right? Both teams are ranked in the top 4, top 5, playing to get to the Big Ten title game. Like, and that's 3 out of Harbaugh's 7 years. So, like, it's not like you have this opportunity every year. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you have to, and you just have to break through it. And also you have to understand, like, your peers outside of Ohio State. MSU isn't going anywhere. We want to point and say, laugh, ha ha, look what happened to you guys today. Okay, they're still probably going to finish 9-3, 10-2, and they beat us, right? Penn State, there's still a less James Franklin Lee's, which is very possible. They're still a very formidable opponent, right? So you just can't sleep on them, right? The Big Ten East is an absolute dogfight every single year, right? And so when you are fortunate enough to handle the storm of the season, and you get to this point where it's mano a mano to get to the Big Ten title game, you just have to find a way to get it done. At least once out of 7-8 years, man. Right? And it is what it is. Like these 10-win seasons and all that, it's fun. It's fun getting to this point, looking forward to the game, but you got to have something to show in the trophy case. You have to make your history, your mark on history.
Well, they were the Big Ten co-division champs.
Don't do that. Don't like co-Big Ten East champions. No. Like, you have to make your mark on history somehow.
Yeah.
And that's what it comes down to. Like, I'm having fun just as much as anybody else, but I'm tired of seeing our peers playing a Big Ten title game. I get to watch as a spectator, right? I have to watch our peers, MSU, who I hate. I know the rest of my Wolverine faithful hate MSU. I had to sit there salty in 2015, watching them play Bama, even though I knew they'll get killed. Watch them, and I'm salty, thinking, like, these are the Spartans, quote unquote little brother, yet they're playing in a college football playoff while we can't even get to the Big Ten title game.
Right.
That's how I've developed this view, as well as other Michigan fans have. Right? It's just, it is what it is, and for me to sing the praises of my team, they have to earn that right to a certain point. Like, I'm not going to just say they're going to do this if they haven't done it. Now I give them credit for things they have done. I just think that's how you stay balanced as a fan. That's how I am, Des. I know you are too. It doesn't have to be for everyone, but just because I don't, go, I'm gonna go team go. I'm with you through the end. I'm never gonna abandon Michigan, but you can never do no wrong with my eye just to make me a bad fan. I think it just means I care and I want more for us, not just myself.
Right.
So.
And to me, I guess my thought is there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I mean, we touched on the Maryland game before, at the beginning of the stream, but I mean, come on, like beating Maryland is that the highlight of the year? Like, no, the highlight of this year is going to be the game, because if you pull that out and win it, we got some serious things to talk about on that stream. Like, so it's one of those things to where, the goal is to beat Ohio State. The goal is to get to Indianapolis. It's something Harbaugh hasn't done in his 7 years. So the way we look at the game and analyze the game and talk about it is with that goal in mind. Like, the only thing that matters for Michigan is beating Ohio State on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And then from there is getting to Indianapolis, which is what you would do. But, that is what matters. And when you get to that level of a football program where you're legitimate, you're a blue blood, you are, with the big dogs, like, I'm sorry, that's how it happens. Like, if you lose next week to Ohio State, then, I mean, the season you outdid your projections, but what does that get you? You were projected for 7 wins, or maybe we predicted 7 wins, 8 wins. All right, you outdid that. What does that do for you? What does that get you? What can you put in the trophy case to tell a recruit who wants to come to Michigan, or potentially is looking at Michigan and some other school? Like, hey, we outdid our projection last year. Kids don't care about that. But when you say we beat Ohio State, we won the Big Ten East in one of the best years that the Big Ten East has had, we got something to talk about then. And hey, we won the Big Ten. We represented the Big Ten in the college football playoff. That's something totally different. So, your expectation of the program is on you. But for us on this channel, the expectation is beating Ohio State and getting to Indianapolis. So
because you can.
Right.
It's because look, if we were doing the channel for, no offense, if you know someone that goes to Purdue or Illinois or Northwestern, who's made to Big Ten title in the West, but I digress. Give me a Nebraska. Greg was very highly optimistic, but anyway, like, if we were doing like channel shows for them, do you think we would be talking like this? No, it's because Michigan has the cachet. They have the potential, to do those things. Mm-hmm. So it's roster. Like we don't have to settle.
They have the team to potentially.
Yes, we don't have to settle for. We got 10 wins. Yay! This
wouldn't be Ohio State losing to the unranked, like, some crazy upset. This would be like a game where it's just like, oh, well, no, Michigan won. This wouldn't be a crazy, like, this isn't a pie in the sky thing. Like, this can actually get done.
Yeah,
like, it can get done. There's a clear path to do it. Like, so and that's what we're talking about, is what does that path look like?
Yeah, and it's just like people, I'm done trying to miss people, but it's just like I get irritated with that because I don't know. I just wish, and I bet they wish I thought like that. I just thought I really wish fans would like expect more. Like Michigan, we always Michigan fans, we pride ourselves on, we're Michigan and history and team whatever and all these things, and but yet when it comes to the expectations of the program, we tend to lower them, right? Or we think it's okay to not demand more. Like, no, I'm sorry, dude. Like, I seen Penn State, MSU, Wisconsin, all these other teams who are our quote unquote peers, Notre Dame make it to CFP, our peers, right? Our rivals. I'll be damned if we don't do it. I'm sorry. And I'm not gonna stop pushing and pushing and pushing until we do it, because we don't have to settle for less. And you shouldn't either.
Correct.
So you want a dog, that's being a dog, Trill City. You know, that because we're demanding more.
Yeah.
And I don't expect, I want you to show me something different. And then I'll speak different. You change the narrative by your results. That's it.
Cool. Yeah. We like I said, we'll be here on Wednesday.
What is D Brown talking about?
Talk about the yeah. Well, no, I think he's talking to Trill City, but
okay.
Nonetheless, it is what it is. The season has come down to one game, and honestly, when you think about it, how awesome is that? Like, you're not having to worry about what Penn State does in this game or what Michigan State does in that game. It's literally the only focus you have to worry about is your game on Saturday, and it's at home. If I was Jim Harbaugh, I would think about having my guys in zero dark 30 mode of like, hey, let's cut off on the social media. Like we've got a task at hand that we need to focus on, and just it's extremely important. There's nothing more important that you ever done in your life to this point. Like,
dude, if I was
beating Ohio State is
I don't think
important.
this is his style. Like, I would have up the scores the last 15 years and in every kid's dorm. Like, I need you to know, like, we need to embrace the underdog mentality. Mm-hmm. Like, if there was one thing that I was jealous of MSU's era under D'Antonio, was how well they embraced the underdog mentality. You can poo-poo them all you want to. That's fine. I know they're Sparty.
Somehow, even in games they were favored. Like
even games they were favored. Like, they embraced that. And this is one of those situations we need to embrace the underdog. Ohio State, even in our house, are going to be the favorites. That should piss you off. Mm-hmm. You should be pissed that you've lost 14 out of the last 15 years, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And come out enraged and prove a point. To prove people, even your own fan base, like me, wrong. That you can do this. And that's what I want to see. And, hey, look, guys, if you guys want some positivity, let's get this win on Saturday. You're going to see some positivity. Then we having fun. Then we can have fun.
Oh, man, that's going to be something. And we talked about it, too, because we're both relatively local to the Big House. So we've talked about potentially trying to get the post-game show Saturday in Ann Arbor, somewhere around the Big House. So we'll see. We've got some logistics to work out, but no, it'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, so it all comes down to this, the game. That's it. So you win it, and you're literally in the driver's seat. It's awesome. So there's nothing that, I mean, like I said, you're not having to worry about someone else. You control your own destiny. Everything you want is right in front of you. Beating Ohio State, getting in Indianapolis, and a college football playoff. So, there's nothing better than that. So.
I'm sorry, brother. Did you see what this Theodore person said? Y'all gonna be too sad to do a post-game show. That's how I felt. If y'all saw me with MSU, y'all saw how I felt. Oh my goodness, you're probably right. But we're gonna be here for it.
We will. We will. Hey, we were here when Michigan lost to Michigan State. We're going to be here if that were to happen. But, we'll do our predictions and things like that on Wednesday and see what we come up with. But, yeah, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We definitely appreciate it. Before you go and exit, please give us a thumbs up. We've got like 175-ish on the line right now, about 85 thumbs up. So if you guys could just boost it up. It just helps the popularity of the channel, and obviously for Mark's channel as well, the Voice of College Football. So we definitely appreciate you guys. Michigan with another win, 10-1, and they are staring Ohio State right in the face. So we will see what happens next week.
Go Blue. Take care, guys.
Peace.
Peace.